I got the invitation in a plain white envelope. No embossed script. No gold foil. Just my name, Daniel Reeves, typed in that cold, impersonal font they use for office memos. Like it didn't matter. Like I didn't matter. I remember standing in the kitchen, still in my work boots, grease under my nails from changing the oil on Mrs. Callahan's Camry that afternoon. The sun was low, casting long shadows across the linoleum floor. I'd just gotten home, tired, hungry, ready to heat up last night's meatloaf and watch the game. Routine. Normal. Safe. Then I saw it. Wedding invitation. My daughter's name in bold, Emily Grace Reeves. And beneath it, you are cordially invited. My chest tightened before I even opened it. I dropped my keys on the counter, wiped my hands on my jeans, and peeled back the flap with fingers that suddenly felt numb. Inside was a single card. Cream-colored. Simple. Elegant. Too elegant for me, maybe. Emily Grace Reeves. Will take the hand of Michael James Turner. On Saturday, the 12th of October. At 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The Willow Creek Estate, Asheville, North Carolina. I read it once. Then again. Then a third time, slower, like if I took it slow enough, the words might rearrange themselves into something else. Something kinder. They didn't. At the bottom, in smaller print. Reception to follow. Kindly RSVP by September 1st. No note. No love, Emily. No hope you can make it, Dad. Nothing. Just an invitation. A formality. Like I was some distant cousin she met once at a family reunion 10 years ago. I sat down at the kitchen table, the one I built with my own 2 hands back when Emily was 6, sanding each edge smooth so she wouldn't get splinters while doing her homework, and stared at that damn card until the room went dark. I didn't cry. Not then. I just sat there, staring at the silence between the lines, wondering when exactly I had become a ghost in my own daughter's life. It wasn't always like this. There was a time when Emily used to run to me, arms wide, pigtails bouncing, yelling, "Daddy! Daddy, look what I made!" Her drawings covered our fridge, crayon monsters, stick figure families with too many arms, rainbows that looked more like scribbles. But I kept every one. Even after the divorce. Even after everything. We lived in a little 3-bedroom house in Charlotte, nothing fancy, but it was ours. White fence. Red door. A tire swing in the backyard I hung from the old oak tree. I worked as a mechanic at Henderson Auto Repair, same shop since I was 22. Steady job. Good benefits. Enough to keep the lights on, the car running, and Emily in soccer cleats and school supplies. Claire, my ex-wife, she was a teacher. 3rd grade. Always had markers in her hair, books stacked everywhere, kids' artwork taped to her classroom walls. She was smart. Driven. Beautiful in that quiet, serious way. We weren't rich, but we were happy. At least, I thought we were. We got married young, 23 and 21. Foolish? Maybe. But we loved each other. Or I did. I don't know when it started to go wrong. Probably long before I noticed. Looking back, the cracks were there. She started staying late at school. Grading papers, she said. Then came the weekend workshops. The faculty retreats. The phone that suddenly needed a password. I didn't ask questions. Not at first. I trusted her. Stupid, maybe. But I believed in us. In the life we built. Then one night, I came home early. Flat tire on the tow truck. Boss sent me home. I walked in quietly, not wanting to wake Emily if she was asleep. And I heard them. In our bedroom. Her laugh. Low. Intimate. And his voice deep, smug, saying, "You're gonna be the death of me, Claire." I froze. Then I saw him. Mark Holloway. Her colleague. The new gym teacher at her school. 32, sculpted like a fitness model, always wore those tight polos that showed off his arms. He'd come over once or twice for backyard barbecues. Smiled too wide. Shook my hand too hard. There they were. On our bed. Sheets tangled. His shirt on the floor. Her blouse unbuttoned. I didn't yell. Didn't scream. I just stood there, watching, feeling like the floor had been pulled out from under me. When they saw me, Claire screamed. Mark jumped up, fumbling for his pants. I turned and walked out. Got in my truck. Drove to the shop. Slept in the break room that night on the old couch behind the tool lockers. 2 weeks later, she moved out. Took Emily. Said she needed space. Filed for divorce a month after that. I fought for custody. Hired a lawyer. Spent every penny I had. But Claire painted me as unstable. Emotionally distant, she called me. Said I worked too much. Said I didn't attend parent-teacher conferences, which wasn't true. I missed one because the shop flooded during a storm. Said Emily felt safer with her. The judge gave her primary custody. I got weekends. Holidays rotated. Every other Christmas. I accepted it. What choice did I have? But I never stopped being a father. I showed up. Every weekend. Rain or shine. Sick or tired. I took Emily to the zoo, to movies, to fishing trips up near Boone. I helped her with math homework. Taught her how to change a tire. How to jumpstart a dead battery. How to tell when a muffler was about to go. She used to call me her fix-it dad. I love you, Daddy, she'd say, hugging me tight before going back to Claire's on Sunday nights. Those words kept me alive. Years passed. Emily grew up fast. One day she was 8, showing me a frog she caught in a jar. The next, she was 16, slamming her bedroom door, texting under her blanket at night, rolling her eyes when I asked about school. Teenage stuff. Normal. I figured she'd grow out of it. But then Claire remarried. Not Mark. Oh no. By then, he was gone and transferred to a school in Georgia after some inappropriate conduct complaint, never confirmed, but people talked. Claire moved on. Married a guy named Richard something. Financial advisor. Golf clubs. Country club membership. Lives in a gated community with a fountain in the driveway. I met him once. At Emily's high school graduation. He shook my hand, called me Dan, smiled like he meant it, but his eyes were cold. Like I was a problem he hadn't quite figured out how to solve. Emily hugged me that day. Brief. Polite. Thanks for coming, Dad. That was it. After that, the visits got shorter. Then rarer. Excuses piled up, college applications, SAT prep, volunteer work, friend drama. I understood. Kids grow up. They pull away. But I still called. Every week. Left voicemails. Sent birthday cards. Christmas gifts. A necklace for her 18th. A toolbox for her apartment when she moved out. She never said thank you. Then came college. She went to UNC Asheville, Claire's idea, I'm sure. Closer to her, farther from me. I visited once. Drove 6 hours. Brought her favorite chili dogs from that roadside stand near Shelby. She was busy. Had plans. Could I come back another time? I did. 3 months later. Same thing. Eventually, I stopped going. But I never stopped loving her. Now, here I am 51 years old, alone in a too-quiet house, holding a wedding invitation that feels like a knife wrapped in paper. I flip the card over. Nothing on the back. No seating chart. No hotel accommodations. No mention of whether I'm supposed to bring a date, like I have one. Just the facts. Cold. Final. I pick up my phone. Scroll to Emily's number. Hover my thumb over the call button. What would I even say? Hey, Em. Got your invite. Pretty. Who's Michael? How long have you two been together? Does he fix his own oil? Or does he pay someone? Sarcasm won't help. Or maybe, why me? What did I do? But I know the answer. It's not what I did. It's what I didn't do. I didn't fight harder. I didn't prove I was enough. I didn't have the money, the house, the stability Claire could offer. I didn't wear polo shirts or play golf. I smelled like motor oil and Windex and old coffee. I was just her dad. The one who showed up. The one who stayed. The one who loved her quietly, consistently, without fanfare. And still, I wasn't chosen. I set the phone down. Later that night, I dream about walking Emily down the aisle. We're in a church. Sunlight streams through stained glass. She's wearing a lace dress, bouquet in hand, smiling at me. Her eyes are bright. She squeezes my arm. "You've got this, Daddy," she whispers. And I do. I walk her slowly, proudly, to the altar. Hand her off. Kiss her cheek. Then the scene shifts. She's still in the dress, but now she's walking beside him. Mark Holloway. He's wearing a tux. Smug. Confident. Claire stands at the end of the aisle, beaming. Emily doesn't look back. I wake up sweating. Heart pounding. The clock reads 3:17 a.m. I get up, make coffee, sit at the table again. The invitation is still there. I turn it over one more time. And that's when I see it typed in tiny letters at the very bottom, almost invisible. Please note, due to limited space, only immediate family members will be included in the processional. Emily has chosen her stepfather, Richard Holloway, to accompany her down the aisle. Wait. Richard Holloway? That's not her stepfather. Richard is Claire's current husband. But Holloway? Mark Holloway was her ex-boyfriend. The one I caught her with. Unless Richard took Mark's last name when he married Claire? No. That didn't make sense. I grab my laptop. Log in. Search Claire's Facebook. There it is. A photo from 2 years ago. Claire and a man, tall, silver-haired, sharp suit, standing in front of a beach house. Caption: "So grateful to celebrate 5 years with my amazing husband, Richard Holloway." Holloway. My stomach drops. Richard Holloway. As in related to Mark Holloway? Brothers? I dig deeper. A comment on an old post: "Congrats to my brother Richard and Claire." Mark Holloway. Brothers. They're brothers. All this time, Claire didn't just move on from Mark. She married his brother. Was it revenge? A sick joke? Or just coincidence? And Emily, did she know? Did she understand what it meant, asking Richard, the brother of the man who destroyed our family, to walk her down the aisle instead of me? Did she choose it that way on purpose? To twist the knife? I close the laptop. Sit in the dark. And for the first time since I found them in that bedroom 15 years ago, I cry. Not loud sobs. Just silent tears, sliding down my face, dropping onto the table, onto the invitation. The paper soaks them up. Like it's drinking my sorrow. I don't know if I'll go to the wedding. I don't know if I can sit in a pew and watch my daughter give her life to a stranger while the brother of the man who stole my wife walks her past me like I don't exist. But I need to understand. Why? That's all I want. One honest answer. So I'm going to write her a letter. Not today. Not tomorrow. But soon. And when I do, I won't beg. I won't plead. I'll just tell the truth. About the tire swing. The chili dogs. The nights I drove 2 hours just to sit outside her dorm window, hoping to catch a glimpse of her smile. About the father I tried to be. And the man I became after she let me go. Because if she's going to erase me from her story, then I'll make sure she knows exactly what and who she's erasing. I started writing the letter on a Tuesday night. Rain tapped against the kitchen window like someone trying to get in. A storm had rolled in off the mountains, turning the sky black by 6 o'clock. I'd eaten a frozen lasagna, burnt at the edges, soggy in the middle, and now sat at the same table where I'd stared at that damn wedding invitation for hours. My hands were steady this time. No shaking. Just the slow, deliberate motion of pen on paper. I used one of Emily's old school notebooks, the kind with the marble cover and wide-ruled pages. Found it in a box in the garage last month while looking for spark plug wrenches. I didn't know why I kept it. Maybe because it had her handwriting on the front, Emily Reeves, 5th grade, room 14. Neat cursive. Proud loops. A girl who still believed her future was bright, and her dad could fix anything. I opened it to a blank page. Dear Emily. I don't know if you'll read this. I don't even know if I'll send it. But I need to say these things. Not to change your mind. Not to make you feel guilty. Just so you know. I was here. All of it. I was here. I stopped there. Stared at the words. They felt too small. Too quiet for what I carried inside. So I started again. Dear Emily. When you were 3 years old, you got sick with pneumonia. It came out of nowhere. One day you were laughing at cartoons, the next you couldn't breathe. Mom was at a teachers' conference in Raleigh. I called her, but she said she couldn't leave early, it was mandatory. So I carried you to the car wrapped in your Minnie Mouse blanket, your little body burning up, gasping like a fish out of water. Drove 90 miles an hour down I-85 with the heater blasting, one hand on the wheel, the other holding your head against my chest, whispering, "Hold on, baby. Hold on." At the ER, they admitted you right away. Put you on oxygen. Said you might need to stay overnight. I sat in that plastic chair all night, watching the monitor beep, counting every breath you took. At 3 a.m., you woke up scared, crying, asking for me. I climbed into the bed with you, too big, too heavy, the rails creaking, and held you until you fell back asleep. Do you remember that? I do. I remember the way your hair smelled like medicine and sweat. The way your fingers clutched my shirt like I was the only thing keeping you from floating away. I was your anchor. And I thought that meant something. I paused again. The rain had turned heavier. Wind shook the trees outside. Power flickered once, twice, then held. I kept writing. You were 7 when you lost your first tooth. You left it under your pillow like we always did. Next morning, you screamed because the tooth fairy hadn't come. I panicked. I'd forgotten to put the dollar in. I ran to the bank, begged the teller to open the safe for me, rushed home with a crisp bill, slipped it under your pillow just before you came running back to check. You hugged me so tight I almost fell over. Daddy, you said, the tooth fairy knows you. I laughed. But inside, I felt guilty. Because I wasn't magic. I was just a man trying to keep the world soft for you. Even when mine was cracking apart. I wrote about the time she broke her arm falling off the swing set. I carried her half a mile to the car because the driveway was icy and I was afraid to let her walk. How I stayed up all night icing her cast, reading her diary of a wimpy kid until her eyes drooped. I wrote about teaching her to ride a bike behind the community center. Running beside her, hand on the seat, yelling, "I've got you. I've got you," until she pedaled ahead and looked back, shocked, laughing, "Daddy, you let go." I did. But only because she didn't need me to hold on anymore. That's what parenting is, isn't it? Learning when to hold tight and when to let go. But no one tells you what happens when they let go of you. I wrote about the divorce. Not to blame your mom. Not entirely. I know I wasn't perfect. I worked long hours. Sometimes I was tired. Quiet. I didn't have the words she wanted, the poetic ones, the romantic ones. I showed love in oil-stained hands and full gas tanks and grilled burgers on weekends. But I never stopped loving you. Even when you stopped calling. Even when your birthday cards came back unopened. Even when I saw pictures of you on Facebook laughing at some beach party, arms around friends I didn't know, wearing clothes I wouldn't have let you leave the house in when you were 15, with comments from Claire, my beautiful girl. And Richard, so proud of you, kiddo. But nothing from you to me. Still, I didn't stop. Because fathers don't get to quit. Not real ones. Then I got to the hardest part. Emily, I saw the name. Richard Holloway. And I did the math. He's Mark's brother, isn't he? The man I found your mother with. The reason our family ended. I don't know when they connected. After the divorce? During it? Did she go from one Holloway to the next like it was nothing? Like the man who betrayed me, who lay in our bed with my wife, was just replaceable? But here's what I can't understand. Why would you choose his brother to walk you down the aisle instead of me? Is it because he has money? A nice house? Golf clubs and country club ties? Or is it because you think I failed you? That I wasn't enough? Because if that's it, please know, I tried. Every single day, I tried to be the father you deserved. I didn't have fancy vacations or private schools or weekend trips to Charleston. But I was there. In the messy moments. The scary ones. The ones no one posts on Instagram. I was there when you needed stitches. When you cried over a boy in 8th grade. When you got your first B on a report card and thought the world was ending. I was there. And yes, maybe I wasn't perfect. Maybe I missed things. Maybe I didn't say I love you enough. But I never walked away. Your mother did. Mark did. Their family did. But I didn't. So when you chose Richard Holloway, the brother of the man who helped destroy us, over me, it didn't just hurt. It confused me. Because it felt like you weren't just rejecting me. You were honoring the people who broke me. I stopped writing. My vision blurred. Not from tears this time, from anger. Raw, quiet anger. Not at Emily. At the silence. At the lack of explanation. At the way families can fracture not in one loud explosion, but in 1,000 tiny cuts over years. I flipped to a new page. I'm not asking you to undo your choice. It's your wedding. Your life. Your truth. But I need you to know mine. I am not the man your mother painted me to be. I didn't stop loving her because she cheated. I stopped believing in us because she chose someone else twice, if you count the brother. Asterisk. I didn't stop fighting for you. The courts decided. And I accepted it. But I never gave up on being your dad. Even now. Even after this. So if you're doing this because you think I don't care, you're wrong. If you're doing this to punish me, I don't know what I did to deserve it. If you're doing this because you truly believe Richard loves you more than I do, then I pray someday you meet a love as quiet, as constant, as relentless as mine. Because real love doesn't need applause. It shows up. It stays. It fixes the leaky faucet at midnight. It drives through storms to bring you soup when you're sick. It writes letters it may never send, just to say, I was here. I am here. I always will be. Love. Dad. I read it 3 times. Then folded it carefully and tucked it into the notebook. I didn't mail it. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Because some truths are too heavy to send in an envelope. They need to be spoken. Face to face. Eye to eye. And I wasn't ready for that. Instead, I did something I hadn't done in years. I called Claire. Her number was still in my phone. Labeled ex-wife home. It rang 4 times. Then. Hello? Her voice. Older. Still crisp. Still careful. Claire, I said. My throat tight. It's Dan. Silence. Then, cautious, Dan. It's been, what, 6 years? 7, I said. Since Emily's graduation. Another pause. What do you want? I took a breath. I got the wedding invitation. Oh. A beat. Then, softer, I wasn't sure you would. Why wouldn't I? I'm her father. She wasn't sure you'd want to come. That's not the point, I said, voice rising. The point is, she didn't call me. Didn't tell me herself. Just sent a piece of paper like I'm a guest at a corporate event. She's been busy, Dan. Wedding planning is stressful. Busy? I laughed, a dry, broken sound. She had time to pick Richard Holloway to walk her down the aisle, but not 5 minutes to call her dad? Silence again. Then, quietly, you don't understand, Dan. No, I said. Explain it to me. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you two erased me and replaced me with the brother of the man you cheated on me with. That's not just a snub, Claire. That's a statement. She sees Richard as a father figure, Claire said. He's been there for her. He paid for her college. Took her on trips. Supported her. And I didn't? I shot back. I worked 60-hour weeks so she could have braces. So she could go to summer camp. So she could have a bike that wasn't held together with duct tape. You were absent, Dan, she said, sharper now. Physically present sometimes, but emotionally distant. You never talked about feelings. Never went to school events unless I reminded you. You didn't understand her. I understood her better than you think, I said, voice low. And I loved her more than anyone ever will. Including Richard. She doesn't see it that way. Then help her see it, I said. You're her mother. Tell her the truth. Not your version. The whole story. About Mark. About how it ended. About how I fought for her. About how I bled for that family. It's ancient history, Dan. No, I said. It's her history. And if she's building a life on a lie, she's going to wake up one day wondering why the foundation cracked. Another long silence. Then, barely a whisper, you should come to the wedding. I froze. You'll be invited. Seated. It's not about excluding you. Then why him? I asked. Why Richard? Why not me? I can't answer that, she said. You'll have to ask Emily. And if I do? She might not give you the answer you want. I don't care, I said. I just want the truth. We hung up without saying goodbye. I sat in the dark for a long time. Then I pulled the notebook back out. On the last page, I wrote one sentence. I'm coming to the wedding. Not to protest. Not to cause a scene. But to stand in the back. To watch. To see the man who walks my daughter down the aisle. To look into her eyes as she says I do. To see if, even for a second, she searches the room for me. And if she does, maybe I'll step forward. Maybe I'll say, I'm here, Em. Maybe I'll finally get my answer. The next morning, I cleaned the house. Not because I cared about dust or dishes. But because for the first time in years, I had a purpose. I washed my best suit, the one I wore to her 8th grade graduation. Got it tailored last year just in case. Ironed a white dress shirt. Polished my black shoes until they shined. I dug out an old photo album from the closet. Pictures of Emily as a baby. As a toddler. Riding a tricycle. Blowing out candles. Graduating kindergarten. One photo stood out. It was taken at the county fair when she was 9. We're on the Ferris wheel. Her face lit up with joy, hair blowing in the wind. My arm is around her, smiling like I'd won the lottery. On the back, in my handwriting, me and my girl. Highest view in the world. I slipped that photo into my pocket. Then I went to the shop. Henderson Auto Repair still stands on Route 74, same red awning, same grease stains on the concrete. Joe Henderson retired 5 years ago. Sold it to his nephew. But I still work there. Same bay. Same tools. Same routine. Hey, Dan, Louis said, wiping his hands on a rag. You look different. Do I? Yeah. Like, awake. I smiled faintly. Got somewhere to be in a few weeks. Took vacation time yet? I hadn't thought that far. But I did now. I need 3 days, I said. Starting October 9th. Luis raised an eyebrow. Wedding? I nodded. He didn't ask who it was for. Just slapped my shoulder. Wear the good shoes, old man. That night, I dreamed again. But this time, I was at the wedding. The venue was beautiful Willow Creek Estate, just like the invite said. Trees draped in fairy lights. A stone path leading to a white arbor covered in roses. Guests in elegant clothes, sipping champagne. I stood in the back, near the trees, out of sight. Then the music changed. The guests stood. And there she was. Emily. In a lace gown, veil fluttering in the breeze, radiant. And beside her Richard Holloway. Smiling. Proud. Arm linked with hers. They walked slowly down the aisle. I watched her face. She didn't look around. Didn't search the crowd. Didn't flinch. She reached the altar. Handed her bouquet to her maid of honor. Smiled at Michael. And then she glanced back. Just once. Toward the trees. Toward me. Our eyes met. And in that split second, I saw it. Not guilt. Not anger. Not hatred. But something else. Something fragile. Recognition. Like she knew I'd come. Like she'd hoped I would. Like part of her still remembered the man who taught her to jumpstart a car, who sang her to sleep during thunderstorms, who loved her in ways no one else ever could. And then the moment passed. She turned back. Said her vows. Became Mrs. Turner. And I stood there, heartbreaking and healing all at once. When I woke up, the sun was rising. I got out of bed. Walked to the mirror. Looked myself in the eye. I'm still here, Emily, I whispered. And I'm coming. October 12th arrived like any other autumn morning in North Carolina, crisp, golden, the air sharp with the scent of fallen leaves and distant wood smoke. I woke before dawn. Couldn't sleep. Not because I was nervous, though God knows I should have been, but because my body knew what day it was. Like muscle memory. Like the way your heart still flinches at a song from an old love. I stood in front of the mirror in my small bathroom, razor in hand, staring at the man I'd become. Gray threaded through my hair now, especially at the temples. Lines carved deeper around my eyes, not from laughter so much as squinting into headlights on late-night drives home from work, or reading tiny print on oil filters under dim shop lights. My hands, once strong and quick, bore new scars, a jagged one across the knuckle from a slipped wrench, a burn near the thumb from a hot exhaust manifold. But they were still my hands. The ones that had changed Emily's diapers. Held her steady on her first bike. Clutched hers when she took her first steps. I shaved slowly. Carefully. Dressed in the suit I'd pressed 3 days early, afraid a single wrinkle might feel like a judgment. White shirt. Navy tie, her favorite color since she was 6. Polished shoes. Pocket square, a gift from Luis, he said even mechanics look good when they're on a mission. And in my inside jacket pocket, folded neatly beside my wallet, the photo from the Ferris wheel. I didn't eat. Couldn't. Just poured black coffee into a travel mug, left a note on the fridge for no one, gone to Asheville. Back Sunday. And climbed into my truck. The drive was 5 hours. I took back roads when I could, avoiding interstates, avoiding rush hour, avoiding the noise. Played old country tapes, Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard, Loretta Lynn. Songs about loss, loyalty, hard work. Songs my dad used to play when I was a boy riding shotgun to his construction jobs. I thought about him a lot on that drive. He died when I was 19. Cancer. Quick. Brutal. Last thing he said to me? Be better than me, son. Be there. I tried. Lord knows I tried. By the time I reached Asheville, the sun was high, painting the Blue Ridge in soft amber light. The GPS led me through winding mountain roads, past vineyards and stone cottages, until I saw the sign. Willow Creek Estate, weddings and events. My chest tightened. It looked like something out of a magazine. Stone gates. A long, tree-lined driveway. Formal landscaping. Security at the entrance. A young woman in a headset stepped out of a booth. Name, she asked politely. Daniel Reeves, I said. Voice steady. Guest of the bride. She scanned a list. Frowned slightly. Reeves, here you are. Table 42. Reception seating only. Ceremony is by immediate family and wedding party. I know, I said. I'm not here to cause trouble. Just to be here. She studied me for a second, maybe seeing the wear in my face, the quiet grief in my eyes, then nodded. Park in guest lot B. Shuttle runs every 10 minutes to the ceremony site. Thank you. I parked, killed the engine. Sat there. Hands on the wheel. For a long moment, I wondered if I should turn around. Drive home. Forget this. Let her live her life without me haunting the edges of it. But then I remembered the dream. That split second when she looked back. Like she knew. So I got out. Walked to the shuttle. Rode in silence with strangers in nice clothes, all smiling, chatting, excited. No one spoke to me. Didn't matter. I wasn't here for them. The ceremony site was on a hill overlooking a valley painted in fall fire reds, oranges, gold spilling down the mountainside. A white arbor stood at the front, draped in ivy and white roses. Chairs arranged in neat rows. String quartet playing softly. I found table 42 near the back. Sat down. Didn't look around. Just stared at the empty aisle, imagining how it would unfold. Then the music shifted. Guests rose. And there she was. Emily. Walking on Richard Holloway's arm. My breath stopped. She was breathtaking. Hair up in some elegant twist, veil pinned with pearls, dress flowing behind her like liquid moonlight. She smiled calm, radiant, glowing with that bridal light people talk about. And Richard? He looked proud. Dressed sharp. Hand on hers, guiding her forward. I watched them walk. Every step felt like a nail. Not because of him. Because of what it meant. She had chosen him. Over me. The brother of the man who broke our family. The man whose bloodline carried the betrayal that ended my marriage. And yet, as they passed, something strange happened. Emily's eyes, just for a flicker, drifted toward the back row. Toward me. Our eyes met. And for half a heartbeat, the world went silent. No music. No wind. No crowd. Just us. Father and daughter. Years of distance. Pain. Silence. And in that glance, no smile, no wave, no tear, just recognition. Like she saw me. Really saw me. Then she turned away. Reached the altar. Handed her bouquet over. The ceremony began. I don't remember much of it. Vows. Rings. Blessings. I kept my head down, jaw clenched, fighting the urge to stand up, to say something, to scream. She had a father. I was right here. But I stayed seated. Quiet. Present. Because showing up wasn't about making a scene. It was about proving I hadn't given up. On her. On us. On the truth. Afterward came the reception. Same venue, but transformed tables with candles, string lights overhead, a dance floor laid over the grass. A jazz band played softly. Waiters moved with trays of champagne. I stayed near the edge. Ate little. Drank water. Watched. Saw Emily laugh with her friends. Saw Michael, tall, clean-cut, younger than I expected, hold her close. Saw Claire in a lavender dress, radiant, hugging guests, posing for photos with Richard like they were royalty. They never looked my way. Fine. I wasn't here for them either. Then, during the father-daughter dance, it happened. The bandleader cleared his throat. And now, a very special moment. The bride has asked to honor the man who raised her, loved her, and taught her how to be strong. Please welcome Richard Holloway and Emily Turner for their first dance as father and daughter. Applause. Richard stepped forward, smiling, hand extended. Emily took it. And they danced. Slow. Elegant. Close. People clapped. Some wiped tears. I stood frozen. Not angry. Not broken. Just hollow. Because I realized something in that moment. To her, he was her father. Not biologically. But in memory. In presence. In the thousand small moments I missed, the school plays I wasn't invited to, the holidays spent at their house, the bedtime stories Richard read, the college visits he funded, the advice he gave. He hadn't replaced me. He'd erased me. And she believed the story they told, that I was the one who left. That I didn't care. That I chose work over her. Maybe Claire never said those things outright. But silence says plenty. And lies repeated enough become truth. Still, I didn't leave. I waited. Until the dance ended. Until the speeches began. Until the cake was cut. Until Emily excused herself to the restroom alone. That's when I moved. Not dramatically. Not confrontationally. Just quietly. I walked along the outer edge of the tent, keeping to the shadows, until I saw her slip into the small stone building marked restrooms. I waited. 2 minutes. 3. Then she came out. And froze. I was standing there. 5 feet away. Just waiting. She didn't scream. Didn't call for help. Just stared. Her eyes wide. Lips parted. Hands clutching her clutch. "Dad," she whispered. I nodded. "Hi, Em. You came." "I told you I would," I said softly. "Eventually." She took a shaky breath. Looked around. "What are you doing here?" "I got the invitation," I said. "Came to see my daughter get married." "You weren't supposed to." "I know," I interrupted. "I wasn't in the processional. I wasn't in the dance. I wasn't even supposed to be here, really. But I am." She swallowed hard. "You didn't RSVP." "No. I didn't." Silence. Then, why? I looked at her, really looked. This wasn't the little girl who used to ride on my shoulders. This was a woman. Strong. Beautiful. Guarded. And hurting, I think, in ways I couldn't see. "Why did you pick Richard, Em?" I asked, voice low. "Over me?" She flinched. "I love him," she said. "He's been there for me." "He's Mark Holloway's brother," I said gently. "The man your mother cheated on me with." "I know who he is," she snapped. "And it doesn't change anything." "It does to me," I said. "It feels like you honored the man who helped destroy us instead of the one who stayed." "That's not fair," she shot back. "You weren't around, Dad. You worked all the time. You missed things. Mom said you didn't want custody. That you gave up." "I fought for you," I said, pain cracking my voice. "I spent every dollar I had on lawyers. I begged the judge. I showed up every weekend. Every holiday. I brought you chili dogs when you were stressed for finals. I fixed your laptop when it crashed the night before a presentation." She blinked. "You did?" "Yes," I said. "And when you stopped calling, I kept calling you. When you didn't open gifts, I kept sending them. When you changed your number, I found your new one through Louisa's cousin who works at the university." She stared at me, stunned. "Mom said you moved on," she whispered. "That you didn't want to be bothered." "I never moved on," I said. "I just learned to carry the hurt quietly." Tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't know," she said. I thought you didn't care." I cared too much, I said. That's why it broke me when you chose someone else to walk you down the aisle. Not because I wanted the spotlight, but because it felt like you didn't believe I loved you. She covered her mouth, shoulders shaking. I'm sorry, she sobbed. I didn't know. I didn't know. I didn't hug her. Not yet. But I took a step closer. I wrote you a letter, I said. Didn't send it. But it's true. Every word. I was there. I am here. And I always will be. She nodded, crying openly now. I want to read it, she said. I'll give it to you, I said. But not tonight. You have a husband waiting. A celebration. She wiped her face. Can I see you tomorrow? I smiled, small, tired, real. I'll be at the diner down the road. Sunrise Grill. 8 a.m. She nodded. I'll come. I turned to go. Then paused. She looked up. You looked beautiful today. She broke then. Full sob. Ran forward. And hugged me. Tight. Like she was 8 years old again. Like she'd been holding on to this moment for years. I held her. Felt her tremble. Felt my own tears fall. And for the first time in 15 years, I felt like a father again. I didn't stay for the rest of the reception. Drove to the diner. Sat in a corner booth. Ordered pie and coffee. Waitress asked if I was okay. I said yes. And for the first time in a long time, I almost believed it. At 7:58 a.m., the door opened. She walked in. Alone. Wore jeans and a sweater. Hair down. No makeup. She saw me. Smiled. Cautious. Tender. Slid into the booth across from me. I brought the notebook, I said. She nodded. We didn't speak. Just sat. Sunrise spilled through the window. And slowly, quietly, I began to tell her everything. Not to hurt her. Not to blame. But to heal. Because some wounds don't close with time. They close with truth. And sometimes, the hardest walk isn't down an aisle. It's back to each other. The sunrise spilled across the formica table of the Sunrise Grill like melted gold. Outside, Asheville was just waking, birds chirping in the oaks, a delivery truck backing up with its beeping warning, the distant hum of early traffic winding through the hills. Emily sat across from me, hands wrapped around a mug of coffee she hadn't touched. Her eyes were red-rimmed but clear. Calm. Like the storm had passed and she was finally seeing the sky again. I slid the notebook across the table. She looked at it, marble cover, Emily Reeves, 5th grade, written in her childhood script, and hesitated. Then she opened it. And she read. Every word. From the pneumonia night to the tooth fairy dollar. From the bike ride to the divorce. From the letter about Richard Holloway to the dream at the wedding. She read slowly, turning each page like it might tear. I watched her face, the flicker of recognition, the softening of her jaw, the way her breath caught when she reached the part about the Ferris wheel photo. When she finished, she closed the notebook gently. Set it down. Looked at me. I didn't know, she said again. Quiet. Raw. Mom, she told me you didn't fight for me. That you agreed to the custody arrangement. That you said, let her have a stable home. I shook my head. I never said that. She said you were relieved. I was devastated, I said. I cried for weeks after the judge's decision. I drove past your school every day just to see if you were outside during recess. I kept a calendar marked with your visitation weekends. Crossed them off like a prisoner counting days. She covered her mouth. Why didn't you tell me? Because you were 10, I said. And I didn't want you to carry my pain. I thought if I stayed quiet, stayed present when I could, you'd still feel loved. Even if you didn't understand the battle. Tears slipped down her cheeks. And Richard, she asked. Did you hate him? For taking my mom's side? For being Mark's brother? I hated the situation, I said. Not him. He didn't break our family. Your mother did. Mark did. But Richard? He was just there. And he gave you things I couldn't. Stability. Money. A house without oil stains on the driveway. But you gave me you, she whispered. I nodded. Yeah. I did. She reached across the table. Took my hand. It was the first time she'd touched me since the hug last night. I'm so sorry, Dad, she said. I didn't mean to erase you. I believed what I was told. And over time, it got easier to believe you didn't care than to face the fact that maybe you did, and I still let you go. I forgive you, I said simply. She blinked. You don't even know everything yet. There's more? She took a shaky breath. I knew who Richard was. I found old emails. Between Mom and Mark. After the divorce. Angry ones. Apologies. Then, nothing. But when she married Richard 2 years later, I asked her. I said, is this a joke? Is this revenge? And what did she say? She said Richard was nothing like Mark. That he helped her heal. That he wanted to be a father to me. And I wanted to believe that. I needed to. Because after the divorce, I felt abandoned. By both of you, in different ways. You were gone on weekends. Mom was angry. I was stuck in the middle. So you chose the man who offered peace, I said. She nodded. And when it came time for the wedding, asking Richard to walk me down the aisle felt like honoring the man who stayed. I didn't realize I was dishonoring the one who never left. I squeezed her hand. You're not a bad daughter, Emily. You're a woman who tried to make sense of a broken story. I just wish I'd fought harder to tell you mine. We sat in silence for a long moment. Then she said, can we start over? I smiled, small, tired, real. We don't need to start over. We just need to keep going. From here. We talked for 3 hours. About her childhood. About college. About Michael, he was a teacher too, like Claire, passionate about special education. About how she'd always felt guilty for drifting from me, but didn't know how to come back. I thought you'd be angry, she said. That you'd shut me out. I was hurt, I admitted. But I never stopped loving you. Not for a single day. She pulled her phone out. Scrolled. Then turned it toward me. A photo. Us. At her 5th birthday party. I was wearing a paper crown, holding a slice of cake while she sat on my lap, covered in frosting, laughing. I've had this as my lock screen for years, she said. Even when I acted like I didn't care. I kept it close. My throat tightened. You want to know something? I said. I still have the card you made me for Father's Day that year. The one that said, best dad in the whole wide world. It's taped to the inside of my toolbox. She laughed through tears. You kept that? Of course I did. It was true. Later that morning, I met Michael. Emily invited him to join us at a park near the estate, neutral ground, she said. No pressure. He arrived cautiously, handshake firm, eyes kind. Younger than I expected. Late 20s. Wore flannel and jeans, not a tuxedo prince. We sat on a bench overlooking a creek. I know I'm not who you wanted for her, he said finally. No, I said. You're not. He nodded. But I love her. Not because of her past. Not because of her family. But because she's smart and funny, and she fights for kids who can't fight for themselves. And she makes me want to be better. I studied him. Saw no arrogance. No smugness. Just sincerity. I don't need you to like me, he said. But I'd like the chance to earn your respect. I looked at Emily, sitting nearby, watching us. Then back at him. You already have it, I said. Because you married my daughter. And you're willing to sit here and face me. That means something. He exhaled. Smiled. Thank you. 2 weeks later, I got a call. Not from Emily. From Claire. I almost didn't answer. But I did. Dan, she said. Voice careful. Emily told me you two spoke. She did. There was a pause. Longer than necessary. Then, I owe you an apology. I didn't respond. I wasn't honest, she said. Not with her. Not with myself. I told her you didn't fight for custody because I didn't want to look like the villain. I wanted her to see me as the strong one, the one who held us together. But the truth is, you fought hard. And I used the system. Used my profession. Used their bias against working-class men. I painted you as absent so I could feel justified. Silence. Then I said, why now? Because Emily asked me why, she said. And I couldn't lie to her face. Not anymore. I closed my eyes. All these years, I'd carried the weight of her betrayal, not just the affair, but the narrative she built afterward. The one that made me the failure. Me the ghost. And now, finally, the truth stood in the light. I hope you find peace, Claire, I said quietly. For your sake. For Emily's. But mostly for yours. She sniffled. Do you hate me? I did, I said. For a long time. But hate's heavy. I'd rather just be free of it. We hung up. No forgiveness spoken. But space made. And sometimes, that's enough. 6 months later, I stood in a hospital room. Not as a guest. As a grandfather. Emily had a baby boy. They named him Daniel. Daniel Michael Turner. When she handed him to me, wrapped in a blue blanket, tiny fingers curling around my thumb, I felt something I hadn't in years. Purpose. Full circle. Not replacement. Redemption. He has your nose, I whispered. She smiled. And your heart, I hope. I looked down at him. So small. So fragile. So full of future. I'll tell him stories, I said. About his mama. About how brave she is. About how she found her way back. And about you, she said. I nodded. Yeah. About me too. Today, I keep 2 photos on the dashboard of my truck. One, Emily at 5, on the Ferris wheel, laughing. The other, baby Daniel, asleep in my arms, one hand on my chest. People ask why I don't retire. I tell them I still have work to do. Not just at the shop. But at home. With my daughter. With my grandson. With the life I thought was lost. Because love doesn't always win the first round. Sometimes, it just lasts longer than the pain. And in the end, that's the only victory that matters.